Good morning, my friends. I am laughing because I promise you it took me 10 minutes and I couldn't even do it. I wanted to get the camera centered. So I'm in the center. But everywhere I moved the camera, I was still not in the center. So I tried turning my chair. I still couldn't do it. And I'm thinking, oh, if anybody's OCD, it's going to drive you crazy that I'm not in the center of this video. So, and no matter where I go, if I go over here, I can be in the center. I just can't get it in the center, guys, no matter what I do. If I'm like this, you're going to see the house. That's no fun to see the back of the house. So I'm just going to stay right here. And hopefully, maybe I can just lean over on this shoulder. Guys, I just want to tell you this morning that we had an awesome time at the nursing home yesterday. I told the story of the broken pot, and I'm going to do that story for y'all tomorrow. And guys, I'm planning. I have a new strategy. I've done counseled myself. I have a new strategy, and I want my videos to come out every morning at 9. So I think I'm going to get like a day ahead, and then I won't have to be stressed about I got to get this done. I got to get this done before I make a video, because I tend to not be able to concentrate if there's anything left to do in the house. Now, if anybody else is like that, I'm thankful that I'm not alone. But that's just the way it is. If when I went to work, when I used to work, I had this plan. Oh, I'm too close. I had this little schedule. And I tried to tell Jill this, and I tried to still tell Steph this, and Breezy this. Well, Breezy doesn't work anymore, but no one listens to me, guys. And I wouldn't tell them something if I didn't know it from experience. But God tells us to make the best of our time. So with washing the clothes, and granted, when I got ready to go to work full time, it was only me and Pawpaw. But Pawpaw changes clothes a whole lot out here. Also, he was still working, so I would have his dress clothes, I would have his play clothes, and I would have my clothes, my shirts I took to the cleaners. But anyway, every night, and I still do this, every night when I get out of the shower and Pawpaw basically the last thing I do before I go to bed is I start a load of clothes. Now, perma-press I put over here in a basket. Everything else I wash together. I don't use bleach on anything. If something needs to be bleached, I'll just put it aside till later, because I use a detergent with Oxy in it. Anyway, I'm just telling you the schedule that I was on, and it was so easy. And I know that Jill and Steph have this huge load of laundry always that they don't get done. And so I say this is so easy. Right before you go to bed, you do a load of laundry. Right when your alarm goes off in the morning, while you're waiting for your coffee to warm up, or after you've had your first sip, throw those in the dryer. They're usually dry, or mine would be almost dry by the time I went to work. And then when you get home in the afternoon and sit down to have your afternoon coffee, fold them. Laundry's done, guys. Laundry's done. And it's so simple. But I don't know. It seems like those three, and they're the younger generation, they just can't organize. And your time's important to me. But then I think when I worked, I was more organized than when I don't work. Now, the whole point I was making in that is, I don't know what, because Kim was at Steph's the other day, and she told Laura to go gather up her laundry. And she said Laura came out with 2 baskets of laundry from her clothes, from her room that had just been piled in there. And Kim's telling me that, and I thought, oh my goodness, make the best of the time. And that was, laundry to me is important. I want it clean. I want, my kids to look good when they went to school. So and that's just always the way I've done it. Even when I drove the bus, you put in a load at night, you put it in the dryer in the morning, you fold it when you're having your afternoon coffee. So you never have to worry about laundry. That's why I have one basket sitting on my washer that is full to the top that needs to be folded. But that's okay, because some days it just doesn't go like you planned. Yesterday we had a scare with Carly. Jill brought her, Jill come at 5:30 with Coda, and she said, look, do you mind if Carly comes too, because she's running a high temperature? And I said, sure. So, oh my goodness, guys, I could not keep her fever down all day. It seemed like every couple of hours she would be there with her blanket, and she'd be so hot. Every time she touched me, I'd touch her, and she'd say, please stop touching me. And she was so miserable. And of course, all I had was Tylenol, and it was like should last every 4 hours, and I was giving her the maximum amount, and I was giving it every 2 hours. Finally, at 3 o'clock, I text Jill, and I said, this baby needs to go to the doctor. I cannot keep her fever down. So, and then she told me, she said, gee, I'm going to throw up. And I said, baby, I don't, because she started coughing. And sure enough, she did throw up. So it's like, okay, get her settled, get her clean up the throw up, give her some more fever medicine in case she just threw that up. Anyway, so then I texted you and I said, now she's throwing up. So anyway, Tina called me and said, Jill's in my room. She's trying to make a doctor's appointment now. And then Tina gets panicky, and I said, well, now she's throwing up. So anyway, Jill came. It took her about 30 minutes to get here, and she was just going to take her to the minor emergency there in Kingwood. So I kept Coda. I said, leave Coda here. I'll keep her for the night. You don't have to worry about her. So, I'd have Coda 24/7 anyway. She's just my little honey bear, my Dakota bear. Anyway, so she gets Carly, and Carly had gone to sleep. She was like dead out, and she was so worn out. And Jill just wrapped her and carried her to the car. And then I get a text a little while later, and they said minor emergency, said her fever was too high, take her to the emergency room at the hospital. So Jill takes off to the emergency room. And I'm just like, I'm just praying and praying and praying, that what could be wrong with her. And I thought, if it was strep, they would have saw that right there. But when they said her fever was too high, the last time I took it, it was 100.6. Anyway, I forget what it was when they took it at the minor emergency, but they sent her on to the emergency room at the hospital. And Jill calls, and she says they think she might have a urinary tract infection. But they're doing urinalysis, they're doing blood work, they're, doing everything. Oh, and they said if she has a UTI, then they're going to hospitalize her. Anyway, I'm just praying for them, because Jill's been through so much lately, and they're having a lot of struggles in their with everything that's going on with them. But we'll talk about that another time. Anyway, I thought, sometimes life gets more. You just get more than you bargained for, especially when you have 3 children and you're working full time, and your husband Dustin did just get a new promotion, and so they're kind of struggle on that. This is the first time he's ever worked a straight day shift. So it's a lot of things going on with them that they're trying to work through, and now this. So I just prayed and prayed and prayed for them. And then Jill calls me back, and she said, it's just the flu. And I thought, okay, praise God, it's just the flu. Because I would rather have flu than a urinary tract infection, right? So I said, well, praise God. And so she said she was staying home with her today. So that was good too. So we think, everything's good. Praise God, he's worked this all out for us. And Coda went to bed like a little angel. And I want to tell y'all, it was 4:30, and I hear her say, "Gigi, open the gate." So I get up and I go in there, and she's holding a doll in her hands, and she's got on a little red tutu. So I thought, I wonder how long she's been in here playing. But you know, Jill gets her up at 4:30 to get her dressed and get her here by 5:30. So 4:30 is basically her regular get up time. And I said, baby, it's still dark outside. It's still night time. And so I went ahead and changed her diaper because she was pretty wet. And I got her some cold milk. And she got right back in her bed, started twirling the hair, and she went to sleep, back to sleep. And she slept till about 8. But I thought it was so cute at 4:30. Here she's got on a little red tutu. She done rummaged through the play clothes and got her a doll, and I guess she's ready for the day. But no, Gigi was not ready for the day to start. Anyway, she had breakfast and she's played good today. And I talked to Dustin. He said he slept on the couch with Carly, and I think he said about 2:30. He thought, oh my gosh, she's so hot. He gave her more Tylenol and kind of washed her down in a cool rag. And when I talked to Jill just about an hour ago, Jill said she's fine. She got her medicine this morning. I think they gave her the Tamiflu, and she took it. It was kind of nasty, but she did take it, and said she is actually up playing now. So praise God for that, because I was so worried for her. But my little Coda Bear was a champ. It turned out to be a good, lots to be thankful for night. Guys, I'm going to tell you, I didn't go to church Sunday. It was my turn to cook. And so I can't tell you anything exceptional or exciting that our pastor said. But I just want to share with you, there's so many people hurting and families being ripped apart. And it's sad. And there's a book they wrote. It's called "The Devil is Alive and Well on Planet Earth." And that's true, you know. And the Bible tells us that the devil is roaming around like a raging lion, seeking those which he can devour. And I just want to tell you today, don't let him devour you in any way. Don't let him take your spirit. Don't let him take your happiness. Definitely don't let him take your soul. And I'll bring this up because I need y'all to pray, because I have prayed. I don't know. It's one of my followers, and she has a daughter that's terminally ill. And I thought, Jesus, I don't understand. They say, why do bad things happen to good people? And when it comes down to it like that, you wonder, what are you thinking, God? You know, she's a daughter, and she's got a daughter, and I see so many people, like all of those protesters where they're yelling from the ocean to the sea, or from the land to the sea, I don't know, and then they just hate the Israelis so much. And I'm thinking, God, why can't you take that illness and give it to one of those people that want to destroy the Jewish race? I told Gene, I said, I don't understand God sometimes. Well, you know, it's not for us to understand. It's just for us to lean on him. But I want y'all to pray so hard for her, because she is a beautiful girl, and it just breaks my heart. And I've thought about her almost all day long. I just think and I pray, and I think and I pray, and I love God so much. But sometimes when you're not in your spirit self, you're just in your human self, and you say, what's the point, God? You know, why is this happening? Why is this happening? You know, I could not stand to lose Kim or Tina or my Bree, or I just don't understand. And, I'm not doubting God. I'm not turning my back on him. But, and there's a song that says, farther along, we'll know all about it. And when we get to heaven, we will understand it all. And we look for every bad thing, for a positive thing. And this family needs to see some positive things. So if y'all would pray with me and with her, and just keep her in your prayers. And Lord, there are so many people being torn apart, families that don't get along from the inside. And we had just this thing last night in our own family with Jean's niece and her mother and the daughter. And praise God, I didn't know about it at the time because my plate was so full down here with praying for Carly and taking care of my Coda bear. But when Kim told me all about it this morning, I thought, oh my goodness. But supposedly they were yelling at each other so loud that Breezy heard it here on the hill and called down to see if everything was okay. So yeah, the devil is working on all of us, and all it takes is a little bitty splinter of distrust or non-faith, or one little bitty riff, and he can turn it into something so big. And my family, my immediate family, we get along good 99.9% of the time. But I don't know, when there's something not right in your family group, it just tears you down. You as your soul is just torn down when everything's not whole and complete in your family. But guys, I just want to say I love you. I thank you for all the prayers that y'all do for me. I thank you for watching me. I don't know why. And I guess I did tell y'all that my brother's fine, and I have had several conversations back and forth with him now. So I'm so glad that worries off my mind. Guys, I'm not a worrier. I'm really not. I try not to worry about anything. I always tell the kids, there's two ways you can handle things. You can sit down and worry and fall apart, or you can put your shoulders back and say, God, you got this, and go on about your business. But it seems like lately I've had so much drizzle down on me that, you start to get down in your own spirit. And I don't want to do that. I'm not going to start talking about Papa. He's probably the less positive person I know. And I was saying something the other day, and I said, please don't say anything because I know it's going to be negative, and I do not need any more negativity in my brain right now. So to me, that's funny. Y'all would have to know me and Papa. And guys, you know what? I told Papa, I said, we have not done a Throwback Thursday in, it's been almost 4 weeks. And I know y'all were loving that, and I don't even remember where we left off. We talked about when we got married. We talked about when we went to North Carolina. I don't even know where that story's supposed to start again. Maybe Papa's memory will be better than mine. But is today Tuesday? Guys, I so lose track of time. If I judge by Monday, because I know every Monday we go to the nursing home. So I'm going to say this is Tuesday. And Miss Rita didn't come down yesterday. She's a friend of ours. We've known her for a long, long time. And she is in the nursing home now where we go. And we look so forward to seeing her. Well, she's moved rooms. So yesterday, Kim, she wasn't down there. Kim walked down to find her. Kim couldn't find where her new room was. So we had to go ahead and start our program. Guys, she come down right as we were getting ready to leave. We were telling everybody. And her chin started quivering. She said, y'all are leaving? And I said, Joanne said, Rita, I called you, and Kim said, Rita, I went down and looked for your room and I couldn't find you. She said, well, everything's over. Y'all are leaving now. I felt so sad for her. We stood and talked to her for a little while, but Jean was home with Carly and Coda both, so I couldn't hardly take any more time, especially with Carly being sick like she was. But that was very heartbreaking yesterday. But everybody was happy to see us, and it is, you feel sad when you have to leave because they're so happy. And I watched this one little lady, and she's in a wheelchair, and she just moves her feet like this, and she goes fast, moving her feet to roll her wheelchair, and she was getting sugar for everybody. And she'd roll over, I'm coming. She would roll herself over and she would get 4 or 5 packs of sugar. Then she would just go pass it out to people. And they were ripping that top off and just eating that sugar. And in fact, somebody gave me one of the sugars and I stuck it in my pocket. And last night I was thinking how cute that little lady was driving around and getting everybody sugar. So I'm thinking everybody has a sweet tooth. I'm not the only one. Anyway, Coda, you want to say hi on the camera? Do you want to say hi? She just broke my wind chime. Her face looks in shock. What did you do? Well, we'll talk about that later. So, guys, I'm going to go now. I want to tell you that I love you all so much. I thank you so much for watching. Papa says, always tell y'all, like, subscribe, and share. And a couple of you liked it last time when I said, your girl Gigi.